But the first thing, there was an article by a John Whittle, The Glory of God, and Barb has left me a little message here. It says, Rich, this article will have you singing and dancing. And the subtitle is God's glory and perfection becomes our glory and perfection because of our union with Christ, or as the aware. Christ is basically awareness or God, or the consciousness I am, if you would, or I am. How should we say? What I say with Jesus, to get back on the Easter thing, is basically, the way I understand it from a theological standpoint, is essentially the I am that spoke to Moses in the burning bush. Now, if you step back and say, let's say it from Moses' standpoint, Moses says, oh, I am that I am, or I am. Mm-hmm. That actually, the I am that spoke at the burning bush, essentially is the same one that spoke and lived in the person or bodily personification, or the Godhead lived fully personified in Jesus Christ, as the I am. And there are all sorts of I am, the way, the truth, and the life. I am the living bread. I am the good shepherd. I am the way, the truth. And all those I am statements is the same guy in the burning bush speaking through Jesus, but not exclusively. That's the only begotten Son of God, not the man or the personification thereof, basically. So it's sort of like Jesus died and Christ arose. The I am essentially rose, and Jesus was putting to I am or Christ in you in the heart of all of us, basically. So if you start to see it that way, the answer is not on the outside. Bible basically says, beware of graven images, and man likes to, the mind of man, the carnal mind, or the old man, can only relate to form, or something that can be seen, felt, thought about, smelled, or tasted, essentially. And if it's doesn't meet those categories, it doesn't exist for it. So it'll take an experience, we'll say a divine experience, and it'll translate it into some form, and then it'll worship the form.
Exactly. Wow. Exactly. And that's exactly what happened there. It's like, and you see it all the time. The old man, the human mistaken belief. They want it in form, and so they put it either in, the leaders or the rulers or the high priests or the Jesus or some form out there, other than finding this. It is that's exactly what Moses was saying. I am that I am. It was like, you're right, he was probably going, wow, I am that. It's like, I am that. It's like, that's when it comes home. That's when you make the discovery. You're not saying they are. You're saying I am. And there's no other way you can say it but I am. You can't say I am and you are. I can't know what you are. I can only know I am that I am. That's all I can know. And therefore, my I am it is the way everyone would have to say it. There's no other way you can say it.
Here's something. It's amazing. I got this magazine in my hand.
Isn't that neat? Yeah.
It says, this is a Prayer of the Heart by Henry Nguyen, who is, I don't think he's a heretic from a Christian standpoint. He's pretty enlightened that way. This magazine itself, at the time I was reading, said this is the most enlightened view of Christianity I've seen. They even had some of it was had a fair number of the monks and priests that went over into the Orient or Asia based on the Vatican, I think it was the Vatican II Council, that said, the Pope basically said, if you can go out and find light anywhere in any religion or any expression that quote-unquote doesn't contradict church doctrine, bring it back. And there were a lot of these guys that were writing articles that were... I even have a book called Zen Catholicism, where they're making the connection that they're really talking about the same thing. We're just, it's the mental Tower of Babel, where we don't we're talking about different things, and we think we're talking about the same thing, so we can never agree because of the words. If we just drop the words and listen with our hearts, we'd see we're talking about the same thing, basically, or we're looking at the same mountain from different sides. But let me read this prayer of the heart. This is a killer. By Henry Nguyen. That's November Oscar Uniform Whiskey Echo November. My yoke is easy and my burden is light, Matthew 11:30. One of the characteristics of the prayer of the heart is that it includes all our concerns. When we enter with our mind into our heart and there stand in the presence of God, then all our mental preoccupations become prayer. The power of the prayer of the heart is precisely that. Though through it, all that is in is on our mind becomes prayer. When we learn to descend with our mind into our heart, then all those who have become part of our lives are led into the healing presence of God and touched by Him in the center of our being. We are speaking here about a mystery for which words are inadequate. It is the mystery that the heart, which is the center of our being, is transformed by God into His own heart, a heart large enough to embrace the entire universe. Through prayer, we can carry in our heart all human pain and sorrow, all conflicts and agonies, all torture and war, all hunger, loneliness and misery, not because of some great psychological or emotional capacity, but because God's heart has become one with ours. Here we catch sight of Jesus' words, Matthew 11:30, "My yoke is easy and my burden is light." Jesus invites us to accept His burden, which is the burden of the whole world, a burden that includes human suffering in all times and places, but this divine burden is light, and we can carry it when our heart has been transformed into the gentle and humble heart of our Lord. There's the child. The prayer of the heart enables us to move into the midst of a tumultuous world with a heart at rest. It is this restful heart that will attract those who are groping to find their way through life. When we have found our rest in God, we can do nothing other than minister. God's rest will be visible wherever we go and to whomever we meet. And before we speak any words, the Spirit of God, praying in us, will make His presence known and gather people into a new body, the body of Christ Himself.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Good for Him. That's wonderful, because if there's more of us out there that can see it, and He's got His, He sees it in His own way, and it's got a lot of the ring of, for me, a lot of the ring of his more biblical understanding, which I just don't have all that education to know, but it's exactly it, I mean, you walk into the world with that light and that peace, and that is the healing, and that's what we do, and it is easy, and it is light, and we aren't burdened by what's going on, and I think, at least for me, not burdened by what's going on, because in the light of absolute truth, what we see as darkness or chaos or confusion and the material, which is where I think we began the conversation, is the world of matter isn't real anyway. So I think from seeing from that higher perspective, from seeing with the child light in your eyes, it's like you understand that the world is temporary anyway. I mean, it's all going to change. Everything comes and goes. So we're not going to worry about that. We're just going to be that light and live that light. And if it starts the flame to grow, then that's what we do, We don't know where we're going or what we're going to do, but we do know that we're doing it just by being it. So.
Yeah, that's the essence of it. There was, having heard your reflection of what he said, there's you can almost use the Deshaun Mountain, all of these perspectives, when they come into words, they generally respect that reflect a particular orientation that the body-mind organism is adopted, and the words sort of go along with that. That was pretty oriented towards what we see is real, and we're going to let the light of Christ, fix it.
Right,
whereas
exactly. I can't see it I don't see it like that.
No.
That isn't how it works for me anymore, because I've come to realize it isn't real anyway.
No.
So
why worry about it? The less you pay attention to it, the less life you give it.
Exactly. We're not going to feed that, but we're all breaking free. So,
yes.
And each in his own way, however it works, it's going to be the way it works. I just know what I know, and that's what I got to live. So, and it is a matter of being true to yourself and true to your heart, and trusting that grace that has found us, and that's the joy.
The other thing that popped into my mind that I didn't say earlier, when you could have picked any number to put on the child, when you said you were a little girl and she was da-da-da-da-da. Well, you said 7. 7 is...
say 7, yeah.
Yes.
It turns up 7 for me. I don't know why.
Well, it's the number...
7-year-old, yeah.
It's basically Christ's number. It's the number of completion.
Oh, interesting. Yes, it can't be any other for me. It's 7. No. She's 7.
No, that's not an accident. 777 is the big daddy of them all. But
well, see, the child knows. I know not much. The child knows.
The beauty of our not knowing is that from a human standpoint, the last thing in the world the mind would like to admit that it doesn't know anything, because then it's out of business. It's wasting its time. It's sort of it becomes the functionary it's designed to do. It becomes a tool. It stops trying to run the railroad. But so when it says I don't know, but in my weakness there's God's strength, because as I become nothing, He can become all in me.
Yeah.
And again, that gets into theological language. Now I'm even starting to... You got me to the point where I'm catching it, too. It sneaks in the back door all the time. Okay.
All right, Rich. We shall let this go. I think we did what we did.
Yeah, it's beautiful, and I think I'm actually going to, since it's Easter weekend and this seemed to deal with Jesus and Christ a lot, I think I'm going to skip some of the other conversations and go do this one today.
Ooh, fun. Okay.
And I love...
You noticed I sent people over there, so we'll see. Of course, my links were all screwed up, but I fixed them, so I think maybe some people will go hear them. We'll see. Well,
it's flowering. It really is, and it's, as I said the other day, it's much bigger than both of us, obviously, and I'm
so glad we jumped in this boat together.
Well, it's
this morning I even woke up early. I thought, if I have this if this is bubbling out like this, I'm not going to just sleep in. I'm going to get up and keep going here. This is too much fun. So, anyway.
Well,
I could be up early, so maybe we can, I'll be around. I'll have a few more hours in my day to do whatever we need.
Okay, that sounds great, because I'm operating on about 5 hours myself, and the crazy part is I know I can do that, because I got an MBA 30 years ago, and I was working like 80 hours a week and getting 5.5 hours a night for 15 months straight. Did very, very well, and never was more productive and on top of my game. And then as soon as it ended and I didn't have to do it anymore, I felt lousy if I got less than 7 hours.
Yeah. Well, when it's bubbling, it's like you can't sleep anyway. So it's like, okay, I'm here to do my work, and I will be glad to do it. And if the sleep thing is not important.
No, it's really like you're living on the light.
Yeah, the joy of doing this is great. So I'm with you, and we'll just see what happens.
Well, it's obviously what we were born to do, and it fits so perfectly. It really does.
It really does. This is great.
Okay, you have yourself a great day, as I know you will.
Okay, thank you.